Welcome to Alkali Creek Art. I'm Miranda, and today we have November's SmartArt box, which is a mystery art subscription box. You get it every month, but you don't know what's coming in it. And this month we have a ton of mixed media supplies. The very dirty hand in the picture with me is my son. He wanted to join me, so thank goodness, because this stuff looked a little scary to me. I'm not used to mixed media stuff. And here we have acryl mousse, some kind of acrylic fuzzy mousse stuff. It was actually really fun. You'll see that later. A sucker, the sticker for the month, the Pebeo matte pub. Those are acrylic paints. Okay, 5x7 canvas, a little silicone mixing texture tool. Yep, just like that. Is that hand distracting or what? That's dirty. Okay, a stencil, which I don't use stencils ever, so this will be new. And then a 8x10 canvas board. So that's what we have to start with. There's all the supplies. Quite a bit in this month's project. So we start by just kind of seeing what the stuff acts like, and we just had a big piece of scrap paper and then grabbed our canvases. He took the big one, I took the small one, and playing with the acryl mousse and stencils, and he's playing with the acrylic paints on that side. And that's my dog barking in the background. And I love touching this stuff with my hands. It was so sandy, and I almost didn't show this video because I read later I couldn't find anything about toxicity. I'm like, maybe I should look into that. And yeah, you're not supposed to touch this stuff with your hands. It says repeated contact can cause skin irritation, and so don't use hands. And I think we have some thunder in the background too, but I'm not going to re-record, so we're going with it. So then I took mine and just added the little flower in the middle, so there would be some blue on the edges and also in the middle, and just gave it some more texture right there. And then I wanted to do a drawing that combined the 4 prompts this month, which were wind, I don't remember, let me look that up. Birds, fantasy, wind, and dessert. So I thought, oh, it'd be great having somebody sitting in a lawn chair looking out at this fantasy landscape, breeze blowing in the background. And I couldn't figure out how to put dessert into this particular painting, so that one got left out, and you'll see that at the end. I threw something together at the end for the dessert prompt. And so then I grabbed my carbon paper. Since this was acrylic, I knew it would cover the carbon just fine, and pressed down hard to get that onto my canvas. And since my son had used the other 8x10, this is an 8x10 stretch board canvas that I had left over from the Palettefull Packs video, and I'll link that up in the iCard above and in the description box below. So I'm just using the acryl mousse. I started with the blue to put in a mountain, and then I did use that texture tool, and you'll see it again with this purple, to swipe across it and give it those lines. And that was kind of fun, but messy. And then I wanted some flowers, but I just wanted to try it out, and it was hard for me to use that stencil. I'm just not used to them. So I skipped that for now, decided I wanted some clouds up in the sky, and then I used the yellow Pebeo matte acrylic tube squeezy thing, you like my technical terms there, to put in a yellow sky. And then I wanted to do the lawn chair with that texture tool, so I used the pink acryl mousse for that, and just gave it some texture with the palette knife, and then grabbed the black acrylic Pebeo stuff for that. And then I'm like, okay, what am I going to do in the skin tone there? So I mixed up the white, yellow, and red and made a skin tone, and I knew I was jumping the gun here. I knew I'd probably have to redo some of this skin tone because I haven't done the background behind it yet, but I was more just curious how that would work out. So I tried it, and then I wanted the edges painted, so I matched the sky up there on that one, and then wanted some more purple brought down. Tried it with the brush. That acryl mousse does not work well with the paintbrush, so I don't recommend using it with the paintbrush. And then here I just mixed the white and yellow Pebeo matte acrylic paint for the background of this meadow, and I really liked the way it turned out. In fact, I really enjoyed painting with this acrylic paint. I've painted with Liquitex before, and this one covered the canvas a little bit quicker without having to thin it down with so much water or medium. So that was kind of neat. And then I made this brown color for the hair and the shirt. It's kind of a gray brown just by mixing all the colors together, basically. You know how you get mud? Well, that's what I wanted intentionally. So that's what I did for his shirt and hair. And did a little bit of the lawn chair arms. And now I'm just thinking, okay, how do I do the flowers? So then I could do these 2 flowers, and then the whole stencil was in the way. So I cut it out, the little flower, and that way I didn't have to wait forever for 2 flowers to dry before I could put in more. So I started with the blue flowers, and then I think I let those dry. Yeah, I dropped it in my water there. I had to dig the stencil out of my dirty water. Moved on to the pink flowers, and the blue ones are dry at this point. This says it'll take 2 to 24 hours to dry, but I found it dried in like 20 minutes for the most part, so could go back in and do other stuff fairly quickly. And then I wanted a hint of like flower or color, something in that background, so I just put a little purple dots, and then I added a bunch of the purple flowers. Those are the layers I wanted to be last, were the purple flowers on this one, and added some more dots. Made sure the edges matched, brought the pink down, and then I wanted that to dry, and so I grabbed one of these Art Bites little canvas things I had, and here's where I'm going to do the prompt for dessert, just a slice of cake, because I figured that fluffy acryl mousse stuff would make some really tasty looking cake layers. So I just threw them in there with a brush, and again, it doesn't work well with a brush, but I needed something to spread it around since I'm not supposed to touch it with my hands. Shh, don't tell anyone. And then I used the mat at the top for the cherry, and down there at the bottom for that. Okay, so that's how that cake turned out. Back to the main one that I want to finish. I grabbed some brush liners in just a 0.8 fine liner from my pencil box, and wanted to give this guy some definition. So I added some hair, and then I grabbed my sketch to figure out, how did I do these hands again? I don't remember. So threw the hands in there, and I was distracted this whole time. You can see this video that popped up. My dog's out there barking at this bull that should not be in our yard, so I have to call the neighbors on that. Anyway, that was distracting, but I was trying to concentrate on those hands. So if the hands look weird, I'm going to blame it on the dog. So then I just decided, since I had the black lines for the flowers at the bottom, I wanted to give some of the black lines around the clouds. And then I put some little birds in there, far in the background, and then I wanted the yellow to be brought down into the rest of the painting. So I did the centers of the flowers with the yellow, and I think that turned out really nicely. So this is my prompt for birds, fantasy, and wind. And you saw the cake one for dessert. Not my favorite. It was kind of a cop-out on that one, but I was kind of tired of using the products. It's been 4 or 5 days kind of letting things dry and then having to leave town and stuff. So I will link more videos, and have a great day. Thanks so much for joining me.